Hi everyone and welcome to Danka Praktik. In this video we'll be talking about weeding. It is perhaps the most hated and tedious job around the garden or greenhouse, but is immensely important. If you don't do it, weeds will overgrow your plants, ruin them, ruin the yield, and eventually the harvest. So stay tuned.
Danka Praktik.
If you want to see how we built our cheap yet very effective greenhouse from top to bottom, click on the card in the corner of this video or on the link in the description. There are two most common ways of weeding: pulling the weeds out of the ground and hoeing them. Since both of these methods involve hard work, you also have the option of using various herbicides, which is much easier to be honest, but we don't recommend this, especially if you want to grow strictly organic food. If you decide to use herbicides, be very careful of what and when you use it. A much better and more harmless option is using nylon around the plants. This is a very good and effective preventive measure, and we highly recommend it, especially if you don't have much time to work around the garden. Pulling the weeds. Pulling weeds out is, at least from our experience, the best but most labor-intensive way of getting rid of weeds. By pulling the weed out, you also pull out the root, and this way you get rid of the weed for a longer period of time. The downside of this is that it is pretty hard work, especially if the weeds are overgrown. The best time to do weeding this way is when the soil is wet, as the weeds with the roots come out much easier. When pulling the weeds out, grab the weed stem as near to the soil as you can and pull it out together with the roots, as this gives the best effect. Sadly, even with this, and with most weeds, some of the root still remains in the ground and enables the weed to regrow. Hoeing the weeds. Hoeing is a bit easier method of weeding, mainly because you don't have to be bent or squatted all the time, and you don't have to touch the weeds with your hands. But make no mistake, hoeing is also pretty hard work. There are different types of hoes with different kinds of handles and heads. Choose what suits you best and what is most convenient for the weeding you're doing. We have this hoe with a smaller head and a shorter handle, as it is good for working in the greenhouse. Make sure that the hoe is sharp, it makes work much easier. When hoeing, the most important thing is not to dig with it, but to cut the weeds. Use the hoe like a scraper and just scrape the top of the soil a couple of centimeters and at the same time cut the weed. So once more, scrape, don't dig. When using the hoe in rows of plants, be careful not to accidentally cut the plants. This is very easy to do, especially from a standing position. If you're new to this, take your time until you get some practice. Perhaps the most important tip regarding weeding is timing. If you do weeding on time, your work will be cut in half, not so much in terms of time, but mainly in terms of hard work. It's best to do weeding when the weeds are small, then you can easily pull them out and prevent further growth. Also, make double checks after rain. This is when weeds grow like crazy in outside gardens, but are also the easiest to pull out. The best recipe for weeding, at least from our experience, is to make more frequent garden inspections and work with much less labor. So that's it for this time. We hope the video helps. Please like and subscribe, it's a huge help for what we're doing. Thanks for watching and thanks for your time.